allowed to, particularly bigger pubs and restaurants, allowed to have some diners and drinkers inside with the density limit?
Sure, that's still being worked through. In fact, the exact density limit is still being worked through. 1 to 4 was what we did previously. A number of other states have moved to 1 to 2. And of course, you know, we look at the experience they've had, we look at what risk that's posed, how it's worked for them. Today isn't the day for us to announce those things, but we will, by necessity, cover off on some of those matters when it comes to regional Victoria quite soon. And then obviously that'll at least in part inform where we land in metropolitan Melbourne.
Was there any evidence during, I guess, between lockdown 1 and 2, when the pubs and restaurants were open, if there was any actual infections from indoor dining?
Well, I think it's important, and we've made this point a number of different ways, but it's the same point. We're at often our greatest risk when we're over at a mate's place having dinner, because there's no time limit, there's no waiter that's making sure we keep our distance, there's not necessarily all the kind of infection control, cleaning tables, cleaning common areas, all of those things. I think our publicans, our cafes, restaurants and others have done a fantastic job, and I'm confident they will when we get to the point of opening up. They're not closed now because they are a high-risk setting. They're closed because it would only mean more virus if we allowed their customers, many hundreds of thousands, indeed millions of people, to freely move around metro Melbourne. That's the absolute key. So being open with no customers is not the answer here. Just like being open for a very short time and then being closed again is not the answer. We appreciate how challenging it is, but this is just one way in which I think we can get many more people seated, get turnover back into these businesses, and help them find that COVID normal, when I think outside will still be a bigger feature, but at that point it'll be safe to have larger numbers of people inside.
You've mentioned Perspex screens a number of times when discussing outdoor dining. Would it be an expected feature of all outdoor dining to have Perspex screens between?
We'll have some more to say about the exact nature of how far apart people need to be, what maximum caps would be. So there will be a limit. It's not an unlimited thing. You can't have, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people seated close together, because of course they have to get, even if they were distanced, they have to get to and from the place. All those sorts of issues. We'll have more to say quite soon about the exact rules, and there'll be, now that this announcement's been made, and there's been lots of discussions, and whilst I know many publicans, many restaurateurs would want everyone back inside, they'd like that to happen as soon as possible. It's not safe to do that. This is safe. This can be made safe, and therefore it is, I think, a really significant part of them opening up again. The exact details, we'll have more to say, and that'll be informed by talking to them as well about what's feasible, what's practical. Every venue is different. The adjoining public space, whether it be curbside car parking, footpath, the park that might be not far from that particular series of restaurants, for instance, all of that, indeed the actual roadway, when it comes to some streets and laneways in the CBD, certainly, all of that will inform the treatment, if you like, that's given to each of those. But we'll have more to say about that soon.
Is it a thought that you might be able to have a more dense space if there is Perspex, but a less dense space if there are no dividers like that?
I think you could probably draw that conclusion, yeah. I think that if you have got Perspex screens, if you've got people distanced, you can probably get more people in there the more safety measures that you take. But that shouldn't be read to mean that if you've got Perspex screens, you can have an unlimited number. There'll still be a cap, because again, it's about movement, it's about people congregating, getting in, getting out. There'll be some shared services, bathrooms and things like that. So we've just got to be careful that whilst we're taking the predominant activity outside, it's done in as safe a way as possible.